Hello, Homeworthy. I'm Dina. Welcome to my home in California. Come on in.
This summer, spend the hottest months of the year in style with Homeworthy as we visit the most extraordinary homes around the world. From the sun-soaked shores of the Hamptons to the classic beachfronts of Nantucket to the vibrant courtyards of Morocco, be sure to subscribe to Homeworthy's summer series to make every day feel like a vacation. You're watching Homeworthy, where we believe every home has a story.
Hello, I'm Dina Dwyer. I'm an interior designer. Welcome to my home in San Francisco. This originally was a commercial space. I'm not sure if it was a grocery, a bookstore, or something, but you can tell from the storefront is glass and the ceiling heights are very tall and the bookshelves behind me. So I'm not really sure what it was, but it was a commercial space and it was built in 1906 in the Edwardian style. When we first saw the house, it was a wreck. We saw the bones, but it was just badly in need of repair. It was dark and claustrophobic, and we had wanted to bring more light in. The challenge is we are street level and lots of people that pass by, so we couldn't really be a space that had windows that had no curtains. So we had to put curtains on. In 3 words, I say my style is traditional with a twist. I also like clean lines. I don't like a lot of color. I like mostly neutral palettes, but of course with a lot of personal touches. Welcome to my living room. As you see, it's a very open space, and the focal point really is this beautiful bookshelf. We had painted it black, and we added all LED strips on each shelf just to give it light and give it more a museum feel. And the bookshelves are classified according to the type of books they are, so it's easier for me to find. I made it look pretty, but at the same time there is an order and a system to this. So I have most of my cookbooks are here. We had interspersed a bar into the bookshelf. So it is just like liquor and stuff that we could not find a space to live in the kitchen. So it all lives in these 4 shelves here. White porcelain, most of them are from Napa by a potter that does everything custom. And my favorite is actually this Ladro porcelain sitting girl there doing yoga. And that's actually how Richard and I met. So it's very meaningful to me, that yoga piece. And we have Richard's record collection from way back when he was in high school. And I have, another important memorabilia is up there. You see the Francis House, Napa Valley. That's the hotel that we restored and managed for 10 years. And that is a little guest book where the guests would sign and leave little love notes for us. And I took that with me when we sold, and it was just a pleasant memory of our 10 years there. I use the shelf to be an all-purpose sort of storage, and this is even an ice bucket that I bought from the Paris flea market, which lives here. And special thanks to Richard. That's Richard and his mom when he was 20. And this is a picture of the top of our wedding cake. Our wedding cake was actually a cake modeled after our house. And this is a picture of us doing handstands on the roof. And he took the picture of the cake. I have an obsession with sheep. It's, I guess, having lived in the country, Napa Valley wine country for a while, I see goats and sheep, and I became obsessed with goats. So this painting or photograph we found actually in Rome last year, and we had it shipped here, but it's just a homage to city and country living, the goat here in a very cosmopolitan space. Decision in the living room is we didn't use large pieces because they are very bulky, and as you can see, I basically live in a 1,000 square foot home. So we chose very streamlined and very functional chairs and sofas. This is actually a throw pillow. I get bored with it sometimes. So this Louis Vuitton portfolio case was Richard's, and I just stuffed the pillow in there, and so now it's another pillow. So these chairs are revolving, so when somebody's cooking over there or he wants to watch TV, it's just very easy to maneuver them around the space. This ladder is very functional. It looks pretty, and I actually like it. And we installed it on tracks. It's a bit noisy though, but it's a charm. It's like being in an old library. But anyway, so this moves, and wherever I want to grab something, I can just climb up and take it. And we found this on eBay when we had remodeled the space. This chandelier was the starting point of this room. It was in an awkward space because, well, it's in the middle, but it was awkward trying to figure out how it would lay between the kitchen and the living room. But I think it worked out well that it's off-centered a little bit. But I love how it brings a formality, but in a very fresh way. I bought this chandelier from First Dibs, and they originally came with shades that were white, which kind of got lost against the white walls. So I was able to have my seamstress make this light lampshades out of a very thin gray fabric, and that's what we use as the lampshades now. So for somebody who's very obsessed with hotels, I know I am. To me, the hotel experience is as good as the trip or the journey. And we wanted this home to be like that. We wanted it to be very compact and basically having just everything you need, no excesses, but at the same time be very comfortable. I think a home is given soul by having things that mean something to you. If it's meaningful to you, if it's significant, if it reminds you of something, a person or an occasion or an event in your life, then it becomes very soulful and meaningful, and it becomes very unique to your space. I want people to feel very at home. In fact, we're a shoeless home here, so when people take their shoes off, it kind of like sets the stage as like, it's very casual and informal, and I like that. This whole kitchen setup is set up like a bar in a restaurant. I love how we had put bar stools here, so when I'm cooking, it's just and we have friends over, it's not that they're isolated or I'm isolated. It's just very fun to have them sitting here, and we lit it up also with LED lighting. And I'm not sure if I talked about this earlier, but these are wine refrigerators, and we just thought that it was a cool way to display wine, but at the same time it just contributes and adds to the bar feel of the space. So here you go. Wine that we collected, this one is from Napa, and there's several others, favorite wines that we have in there that's within easy reach. Have the wine glasses somewhere here. Of course I have some up there, but I just like everything to be within easy reach. So these are not just all cooking implements. Like this is a fertility stone piece that I got with my mom when we were in Oaxaca, Mexico, and that lives there, and it just reminds me of her when I'm cooking. This is actually if you know Richard, he's a martini lover, and so this is a martini shaker we recently got probably 2 years ago from the flea market in Paris, and it's just so unique because it's like a pitcher, and it's just something that I've never seen before, so I got that for him. But I also want to share this painting that Marvin Humphrey. He's from Napa Valley, and he paints all these like small miniatures. And this is a painting he did for Rich, which has olives in a little glass, which I thought would be so apt to be living beside a martini shaker. This is an old soy sauce dispenser. It has no connection to the martini, but it just looked good with the green and the silver together, so I placed them as a vignette. This is our pantry, and I have organized everything. All my spices live here. They're all labeled, and these are all pull-outs. And they are also lit with LED lighting, so even when it's dark, I don't have to turn on the main lights, and I would still be able to reach out for things here. They're all classified for oils here, pasta, grains, rice, medicines, and canned goods. And the toaster and Vitamix also live here, so it just prevents all this clutter on the countertop and makes it easier for us to organize stuff. So Richard and I sort of live, because of our limited space, like the European lifestyle, where we don't shop for a month. We basically go to the grocery or the farmer's market twice a week and just buy, enough for like a meal or two, and then go back the following day or the day after. So it just makes city living and the lack of storage simpler. Because of the high ceilings, this kind of looked very massive with the black cabinetry. I thought there needed to be something light up there that was not too heavy, but it would kind of like send your eyes up. And I thought that something that was in a neutral shade, not black, not white, somewhere in between, would really look nice up there, and it would also play with the ceiling heights. So these 4 panels I found on Etsy. They were actually meant to be hung like horizontally, but I opted to do it vertically this way, and I thought it worked well. These 2 pots that I have up there are filled with the cotton plant, and also vines from Napa Valley, which is from our friend's winery called Fee. And whenever they would prune, she would always give me the vines that were extra, and I would put it up there. And I just saw that it kind of lightened up the space and brought your eye up. Another important piece that's very special to me is this stone sculpture. I lived in Indonesia for 4 years in the late 90s. This is a stone that they used in the Borobudur temple. So I don't know what exact the name of the stone was, but it's the same stone as the temple. And this I found in Yogyakarta. It was supposed to be a panel of some sort. I'm not sure what it was for, but I thought it would be great standing up. And I had, you can see here, had a blacksmith make legs or a stand for it, and that is how I thought could break this black solid cabinetry and put some pretty piece against it. And it's pretty too. When this light is on at night, it just casts really great shadows here. Very close to my kitchen is my dining room. So I mentioned that this used to be a store, a commercial space, and so we wanted to have some privacy and just use the curtains. It still gets some light anyway, but also since I hardly have any walls and wanted to hang these 2 paintings, I decided to just put cable on the rods and hang these 2 paintings. That painting has a lot of color. It's a scene from a brasserie in Paris, and that is a painting that Richard's parents had in their dining room for the longest time. And when she passed And when my father-in-law passed, that was the one thing that Richard asked for him, because we're Francophiles, and we said we know exactly where to put it. And so that's where that painting came from. It's from a local artist in Carmel, I think. I'm not sure of her name anymore, but it's a local San Francisco artist. And this dining table is a serene table, which we love. We had this in all our previous spaces. We just keep on carrying it along and bringing it with us wherever we go. At one point, it was my office table, and now it's a dining table. It fit perfectly in this small space, and it's round, which we prefer because it's just easier to maneuver, and we just don't like to have a head of the table. We want everybody to have equal footing in the table. And in the center here, again, this is from a store in Napa. It's handmade. It's from a store called Carter and Company in St. Helena. And I put all these pepper mills. I collect so much. And every time you travel and there's a pepper or a specific salt from the place, we buy them and install them in these grinders. This is a salt mill. This one is from Greece, and it's the old-fashioned one that you turn this way. I don't want to make a mess. And I think this one, yeah, this is very fragrant. I think this is from Tanzania. Not the salt, not the pepper mill, but the pepper in it. Another thing that I'm a big proponent for is I like using fruit, vegetables as my art. So here you can see I just put in this little sterling cup some sprigs of asparagus, and that's my green. And again, another bowl of cherries. And the centerpiece right here is a giacometti. So it's a very streamlined giacometti, which I'm not sure where I got this, but it was somewhere in Europe. And I've had that with me. I think that's the oldest piece I've had. I've probably had it for like 30 years. These chairs they're Dolce & Gabbana, and I think they're Cartel. This is what's great about getting things that are classic, because they basically works with everything, and it's timeless. So again, this I've had for 20 some years, and they're very unique. I've not seen anything like this in many years. I've seen it come in different prints, but this leopard print is something I've not seen anywhere else. I also like how it kind of gives a little informality to the space, because it's not something that is too traditional, and it's something unexpected. This isn't meant to be a dining table lamp, or it was supposed to be a scones. And I was able to get them to not make it rotate and just steady, but it was a little bit of a challenge, because as you can see, there is some weight where the shade is, and so we had to do some support so it does not sag. And this is a long span. This is probably a 4 feet span. But so far, so good. So of course, no San Francisco home would be complete without some source of heat. And we didn't want it to be just forced heat that you didn't see, and it's so modern. And we thought that since we had this corner spot here, it was a good place to put a little pot belly fireplace. It's not wood burning, so it makes it easy. But at the same time, it's just a very special piece that gives enough heat when we're having dinners here in the winter. So yeah, it's a very San Francisco element. My career, I'd say, began with my parents' business. We were in the export business of exporting furniture and accessories to the U.S. This was when I was growing up in the Philippines. And that was my first foray in designing, because I was given kind of the design or product development position. So I would come to the US probably 2 times a year for High Point in North Carolina, and that was my indication that I love creating and designing. But when I had moved here in 1997, my focus became, because I had my own apartment and I wanted to design it, and that was the start of my interior design career. I went to Parsons in New York for interior design, and my first job there was at architectural firms doing commercial projects, which later on brought me into another aspect of design. I was doing store design for Ann Taylor and other different Bloomingdale's too. And then my last job in New York, had brought me to another job in San Francisco with a Gap, and that's the reason why I'm in San Francisco now. My love for design just doesn't stop with work. I basically live and breathe it. And in 2014, which is the biggest design project of my life and of my husband's too, I guess, was because it was very personal and it was also professional. So in 2014, we had purchased this property in Napa Valley in a town called Calistoga. It was an old hospital which was abandoned for 52 years. And we had restored it for 4 years and turned into a historic property bed and breakfast, which had won many accolades and in fact was voted the best bed and breakfast in Napa Valley, and we're very proud of that. It was a labor of love. We devoted 4 years in the restoration, and we operated and managed it for 10 years. Here is our very compact bathroom. We designed this to be like a hotel bathroom. We have heated towel racks here, and the shower is also a sauna. So if you close this, and this is tricky, if you close that, then there's an echo, you can hear that. That is then you can have a sauna, and that's the reason why it has to be closed from top to bottom. And this Buddha I got in Myanmar with my mom, and it's made out of jade. I thought it would be great there. It's very meditative, and at the same time it's survived all the heat and cold sauna and showers in there, and it's not been damaged. On this side of the bathroom is a little souvenir we have from our favorite winery also in Napa called Harlan Estate, and I use it to hide, candles and stuff there. So we installed it as a wall piece. This orchid has a little, I think this is a little coffee pot that also we found at the flea market in Paris. But I just like using vessels that are not meant to be a pot as a flower pot. Just off the bathroom, we have this ladder which leads up to the loft, which there's really nothing up in the loft. We have some, again, Balinese wooden frames up there, which I also got in Indonesia during my stay there. But the loft is pretty much just inaccessible, so we don't have anything up there. But we have this ladder, and I thought, this can't be just here doing nothing and non-functional. So I found this on Amazon. They're like little S-shaped hooks made out of leather. And I thought I could hang this here. And so whenever we have guests, this becomes a coat rack or a jacket. We hang anything up there. And across that, we have this beautiful, it's my favorite actually, again for the frame. It just happens to be a Renoir study. And again, this is another auction piece find. But this is gold leaf and some nice black enamel. The frame is actually the art for me. I don't like a lot of color in the frames, in the painting, but the frame is what really draws my eye. From here, because we do not have any outdoor space in this city living, I just needed a space that, you know, when the weather is nice, it's always cold here, but occasionally we have nice weather. Today's not bad. And here is a little space that can have coffee, or I sometimes work and do my on my computer and my laptop here. And this was all a blank wall, and we decided to put some greenery. We love jasmine. We kind of came a month too late. This was like filled with jasmine flowers a month ago. But what I brought from Napa with me is this Rue Mollier sign, which has a very interesting story. So I was in a flea market in Sonoma, and I found that it didn't mean anything to me. I didn't know where Rue Mollier was, but I wanted it. So we had it in the hotel, but I wanted to take it with me. So when we sold, I took it and put it in here. When we were in France 2 years ago, we were in an apartment that we rented for a month, and a block away from us was actually Mollier. It's his sculpture. He's actually a very famous French poet, and a street was named after him, a block from where we were staying. And it's funny because now I see the sign, it brings me back to our trip to Paris when I would see that statue every day. And come on out here and see this little teeny space, just enough for a cafe table. And here we have coffee and chit-chat when the weather is nice. And sometimes I read a book here at night. I have a little lamp that I bring out here, and I get to read and give Richard some privacy if, you know, he's on the phone and I'm loud listening to YouTube videos. Welcome to my bedroom. So we start here with these curtains, actually, which we had custom made, and it's double face, so it looks the same in the front and in the back. Since we do not have a door to separate the living, dining, public space to the bedroom, and I didn't want, it was an intentional decision not to have a door, I decided to just use curtains. And so this is basically how we separate the two spaces. And what I also love and was very clever about this is the two steps we have here, because it's there's a change in grade in elevation. We also installed LED lights, which is motion censored, so somebody comes here, it lights up. And it's very, very, very practical and useful during the evening when you want to go to the bathroom and it's dark, and it basically lights up the minute you get close to it. Next to this is Richard's guitar wall. So my husband is an avid guitar player, and I don't know how many guitars he can actually play. He has more of this stored somewhere, but it drove me crazy when he had all these stands on the floor, and it was a mess to clean. It was just a challenge. Every time you had to clean, you had to lift the stand, and there are 4 of them all over the place. So I told him, I'm giving you the only wall in the house, and you can put all your guitars there. And so this is how this happened. And it actually is pretty to look at. I actually see that when I'm in this area, which has a little larger space. So Richard and I do yoga, and so probably 3 times a week, I would have a yoga mat here and do yoga. So I wanted a wall of cabinets, but I wanted it to look very clean. So I was thinking of a different way to have to open them rather than having hardware. And I thought of these, which are you can just put your fingers in and opens, and I was able to get all these lights that you can just install, and they're all battery operated, they're not hardwired. I got those from Amazon, and as you can see, I'm obsessed with denim. Anyway, yeah, that it became really functional, and I also have all these like for socks and shirts, and they're all color coordinated. Blues are there, and whites are here. Yeah, so as you can see, order is very important to me. If you don't see it, you don't use it. So I figured I had to find a way to be able to see everything in an organized way. Here is my dresser, and I like medicine cabinets because you're able to like have storage beneath the mirror, and I love this particular magnifying mirror that you could just pull out here. And again, olive branches from my friends in Napa, Fee Vineyards. Whenever they prune, they give me their stuff, and I bring it home for me to remember the valley. This is a picture of me and Rich 20 years ago in an island in the Philippines. It's very abstract. It's just us walking away. Nobody would know it's even us. But it was a precious gift that somebody who we met there took a picture and gave it to us, and I put it in a frame, and it's been here for a long time. This table has a very interesting story. It was a baptistry. So it's I guess where kids are baptized. But when we saw it, we bought it in a flea market in Alameda. So it's just this piece, but it wasn't big enough. It was probably like 2 feet in diameter, and I wanted it to be kind of a table that you could use for a foyer and have a big centerpiece and have a catch-all. So we had a table, a marble top made for it, which is about 3 feet in diameter, and laid it on top. And again, this has moved with us through many moves. So this bedroom is actually an old speakeasy. This is basically Richard's man cave. He had a projector here, and he had a wine cellar here, but it's no longer. This picture here is actually the picture of us in our wedding. So we were married in the Grace Cathedral Labyrinth, and this is where this was taken. You don't really see faces. No one's facing the camera, but it's just a good memorabilia for a wedding. And labyrinths are very special to me now, especially after having been married in one, because you kind of like, there's this, marriage is like a labyrinth. I mean, it's just a maze, and you just go through it together, not knowing where it's gonna lead you. And I thought it was very significant. So we framed it, and I thought it was a very great way to make use of this wall. As you can see, I'm an expert in making beds, having been a hotelier for 10 years. This boudoir pillow is, again, a pillow that we have in all our rooms at the Francis house in Napa. And I took one home here, and I just have to have a small pillow all the time. Because they have so much different lighting sources here, and we didn't need a lamp by the bed, I figured that it would be just best to have something simple and solid, just to anchor the two ends of the bed. And so I have this. It's mango wood, made in the Philippines, and that is a bust which we got locally. Just sort of like pulls together the neutral tones we have in the room. More books here, and this is actually our wedding invitation to our wedding. So it was printed in spring Kelly green color, which I thought was a nice, instead of just being formal black. This is a picture a self-portrait, which I actually sketched when I was a student at Parsons in New York. Probably doesn't look like me anymore, but it reminds me of my student days. The best compliment someone can give me about the home is that it feels very unexpected. Like when they come in and they didn't know what to expect, and it's really something that is very different. We have a very unique space that is very compact, but you were able to make it work, and it's set up like a hotel suite, if you may. So everything that we have is very intentional. I don't have anything that I don't need that's there because I have very limited space. I have very limited cabinets and storage. So everything's very intentional. Home means a place where you're surrounded with the things you love, where everything works according to your lifestyle, and where you just feel it's the collection of your life story.
Thanks for watching. Go to homeworthy.com for exclusive content and shopping guides.